Hello, welcome to another Togetherness conversation. I'm Gavin, and I help solo entrepreneurs who feel isolated in their business to feel that sense of connection and community around them. So today, I wanted to share a bit of my story and how I even got into this type of field of work, or as this as an interest of mine. I grew up pretty much a lonely kid. I'm a Jamaican. I grew up in the hills of Jamaica, and I spent most of my time playing alone. My dad and mom, they always seems to be working, always busy, and I had some friends around me, like at school or very few where I lived, because my closest neighbor was like probably about 5-minute walk away from us. Most of my time I spent playing with my dog and just using my imagination with my environment, let's say. But yeah, growing up, even at high school, I kind of always felt like a misfit. Like I thought differently than everyone else, and I wasn't like an outcast, but I definitely felt like I was different. Later, when I finally moved to New York, I was by myself here, and really began to get to me that I was kind of by myself and didn't know anyone. So I did what any other person in New York City would do when they feel alone. I started going out to bars and clubs to meet people. And it was a bit of a shock at first. I mean, I didn't know what to do. It was loud. It was a bunch of drunk people. I was just like, I don't get it. But I stuck with it. People looked like they were having a lot of fun, and I wanted that too. And so let me figure it out. So I didn't just kept going out. I actually went to classes, I took courses, I bought books, and I was talking to more and more people, trying to be friendly, and I got rejected a lot by both men and women. It was tough, but I was really invested in figuring this out. So I kept doing it. I even used to, after work, I would go to the park and I'll stay there for an hour, and I wouldn't leave until I talked to 10 to 20 people, just to become more sociable and more outgoing. And to my surprise, I actually began to get more charming. At least I thought so. At least I felt like I was getting better at it. Over a few months, actually, I really started to gain a really cool, vibrant social circle. I even got a girlfriend in the process. Things really changed for me. I went from being that weird, insecure kid to now having a fun, vibrant scene of friends and a girlfriend in New York City. And it felt like I arrived. I felt like I achieved something. I felt like I would never possibly ever feel lonely ever again. But to my surprise, I was wrong. I had the girl, I had the friends in New York of all places, and somehow I still felt alone. I would be at a party surrounded by people that love me, people I know, people that I dug, and it was just still I felt like, what is this? I actually kind of really felt defeated in the process. After going through all that work, to really still have that feeling was confusing to me. I was starting to run out of options, to be honest with you. Then one day, as random as it may sound, I saw an article about astronauts. I know, astronauts, right? What I read blew my mind, no pun intended. It was about this thing called the overview effect. And it was this idea that an astronaut could be in space, alone by themselves in space, and feel connected to all of humanity at once. It kind of confused me a little bit, because I was thinking, how is it that a person can be surrounded by people and still feel alone? And you can have one person by themselves in space and feel connected to everyone at once. I knew I had to figure something out. I knew I had to dive deeper, and I did. And where this led me to was something that now makes me passionate to speak about it. I went into personality psychology, attachment theory, connection styles, to neuroscience and neurobiology, and I realized through all my study that loneliness and the feeling of loneliness has nothing to do with actually physically being alone. It has to do with our perception and our understanding and actually the internal wiring, but it's really the story we have about our situation. This became such a fascination for me that I started sharing with my friends. And interestingly enough, I was kind of nervous at first because I'm like, who wants to admit they're lonely, right? But people were close enough, and I was like, this is what I'm really into, this is what I'm studying. What do you think? I feel like I found something. And to my surprise, the more people I spoke about feeling lonely, the more people actually admitted, yeah, they feel that way too, but they felt embarrassed to talk about it. When I shared my discoveries with them, they all kind of lit up and was like, whoa, that is so cool. That totally makes sense to me now. The more and more people I shared it with, I started seeing that pattern of reaction. And I'm like, yo, I really found something awesome here. This is now part of my mission, my passion, my purpose. I want to share it. I want to have more and more conversations around this. I want to find more people who are interested in learning about it. And I feel like if you're watching this, you're one of those. There are very few people who answer the call to this. The reason why I say it that way is right now we're in an epidemic. But before this even happened, before we even started socially distancing, there was actually a loneliness epidemic going on. It's like the silent thing that everyone suffers from, but no one wants to admit. And I feel like I'm okay raising my hand and saying, yo, I feel this, and I actually want to do something about it. And if you've gotten this far in this video, I feel like you're one of those too who feel that calling. It might just be you want to solve it for yourself, and that's cool. But I feel like once you do, and you will if you keep watching these, that's a big talk, Gavin. Anyway, but it's true. I've done it for myself. I've done it for my friends, and I feel like if you stick around with me, you'll realize that you can solve it for yourself too. And once you do, you're gonna naturally want to help the people in your life and be that person for them as well. So I invite you into this conversation, the togetherness conversation, and together we may be able to really make a shift in this. So yeah, that's my story. That's how I really got into this, and I want to have more conversations like that with you to solve loneliness in little ways that I can. And thank you for being a part of this. So if you like what I'm talking about, tell me in the comments, like, share, and subscribe if you're down for that. But yeah, there'll be much more where this comes from. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. So let's dive deeper together. Until then, peace.